everybody, and welcome to The Power Is Now. My name is Eric Frazier. It's a beautiful day in Southern California, a great day to talk about real estate. And actually, we're talking about fair housing. The 1968 Fair Housing Act is a game changer for minorities and people of color, trying its best to eliminate discrimination and make the access to homeownership and credit available to people of color, and just regardless of their race or ethnicity or disability or sexuality. Homeownership is the American dream, and the Fair Housing Act of 1968 was supposed to help that dream become a reality. But as we all know, challenges still exist as relates to housing, and not just affordable housing, but access to housing and even access. And so the Powers Now is embarked upon a series of interviews about the Fair Housing Act with leaders in the housing industry, the banking and real estate industry. And today I have with me Tony Thompson, who is the CEO and founder of the National Association of Minority Mortgage Bankers. Welcome, Tony, to The Power Is Now.
Eric, thanks a lot for having me on. I'm excited to be here today.
The pleasure is all mine, Tony, and you taking time out of your busy role as CEO of the organization and founder to talk with us. So, Tony, let's start first with your position with the National Association of Minority Mortgage Bankers. First, what exactly is your role, and how did you come to found, if you will, this organization?
So as the founder and CEO of NAMBA, as we call it, the National Association of Minority Mortgage Bankers of America, my role is really to help provide the vision and insight to really, at the end of the day, focus on NAMBA's core mission, which is a two-part core mission. The first part is to provide training, education, professional development to women and minorities in the real estate and real estate finance industry, while also focusing on the second part of our mission, which is to introduce college and high school students to exciting careers in the real estate and real estate finance industry, while providing them financial literacy education with the goal of helping them to achieve the dream of home ownership earlier than most people of color have been able to achieve that over the last several decades.
Now, Tony, I know that you're the only minority mortgage banking association. And can you tell us how this actually came about? You're the founding member, organizer, CEO of the organization. How did it come about? Because prior to you, I don't believe it existed.
Yes, you're absolutely right. It's incredible to think that over the last 120 years since mortgages have been written, there wasn't an association for people of color or women to really help be an advocate and to help be a conduit to help them grow their careers, and also at the same time connect them. And essentially, back in 2011, I received my certified mortgage banker designation through the Mortgage Bankers Association. And I had the privilege of traveling and attending and getting involved in our industry by attending conferences at the national level, at the local level. And what kept me up at night was really simple. Every time I would go to a conference, it seems like there would be one other person who looked like me at the conference other than the wait staff. And I would often say to myself, wow, there needs to be more young people in the room. There needs to be more women in the room, and there needs to be more people of color in the room to engage as well as to grow. And so it was through that founding principle that as I traveled around the country, I would ask the question, hey, do you believe there needs to be an organization where you can go to that is focused on your professional growth, focused on helping to connect you to like-minded individuals across the country? And the answer was a resounding yes. And so hence was the founding principles for how NAMBA was really born.
Tony, I can relate both personally and professionally. Going to National Association of Realtors conferences, I would see very few African Americans. Going to the California Association Realtor Expo, which is one of the largest associations in the state, I would see very few African Americans attending the Asian Real Estate Association America, or the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, or the NAR conference, as I mentioned, the realtor events that take place, huge events. You would see very few African Americans. And that's just on the real estate side. And I've been an agent for 30 years. 30 years. I've been an agent, a broker for 20. On the banking side, I have been banking for 40 years, and I've always been, for my entire 40-year career, one of maybe just a handful of African Americans in management or in origination sales, only just a handful. And so I can relate to what you're saying, and I'm inspired by your vision and your initiative to actually not only ask the question, but get the support to be able to form this organization. Congratulations on the great work.
Great. Well, thank you, Eric. And, ultimately, as I always tell people, NAMBA is for our industry and for the people who work in this industry. That's our focus each and every day.
Tony, we have a tradition on this show where we ask all of our guests the question, what does the phrase, "the power is now," mean to you in the context of who you are, what you do professionally, and especially now during this season of just consideration and discernment about fair housing?
First of all, I love the phrase in the title, "The Power is Now." And certainly when I look at it and think about it from just an industry perspective, what I see is an opportunity for an organization like NAMBA to truly help move our industry forward by being that organization that helps companies understand it's okay to push the envelope, and it is okay to be a leader instead of a follower, like our industry has been for such a long period of time. So that now button is really an emphasis for me to say, make it happen now. Secondly, from a personal side, when I think about it as an African-American consumer, as a homeowner, the now for me also resonates and says, there is no better time in America for one to own a home or to start focusing on the dream of home ownership to build and grow wealth. Rates are at an all-time low. While there are some housing issues in terms of supply and demand, when you look at the long-term opportunity of home ownership, and particularly how many communities of color and how many individuals benefit by having this to be a significant portion of their wealth, the power and the time to act, if you don't own a home, is now. And that's what that resonates with me as well.
Tony, great power is now. You're absolutely right. I'm not sure if the numbers go back that far. I don't know what the rates were in the 1930s when, FHA loans were being made available and the government was actually preventing African Americans from accessing that great program. But they are historically low, and perhaps the greatest affordability index we've seen, the best we've seen, in spite of the higher prices, because of the very low interest. Power truly is now to buy. For those of you just joining us, we're talking to Tony Thompson, and he is the CEO and founder of the National Association of Minority Mortgage Bankers. It's really an honor, Tony, to have you on the show today. Can you share with our audience your formal mission and vision statement of the association?
Yes, Eric. Again, our goal at NAMBA is really just one singular focus. That is to help individuals who are in our industry become better at their craft and their professionalism. So what we do at NAMBA is we focus on providing training, education, professional development to women and minorities in the real estate and finance industry. And I will say, although it says women minorities, NAMBA is an all-inclusive organization. We're for anyone who is passionate about growing and developing their career and or their business. And then secondly, our focus is really centered around the future of not only our industry, but the future of the housing industry, which is making sure that young people of color understand what it takes to become homeowners, and make sure that they understand that they can achieve the dream of home ownership, and give them the financial literacy basis that they need to start them on that journey. And then hopefully along the way, inspire and intentionally connect and engage several thousand of them to come into the real estate profession or the real estate finance profession, to also serve those communities that they live in as well.
Tony, that is a great mission statement. And can you share with us some examples on how you are making your mission real, some success stories? And do you have any particular, perhaps events that you can share with us that may be occurring as part of your mission statement?
One of the things I'm really excited about, Eric, and we're going to let the cat out of the bag per se earlier today here on your show, but NAMBA is celebrating its 5th anniversary this year. It's hard to imagine, but just 5 years ago, an idea was birthed. And what we did was in Atlanta, Georgia in 2016, I basically said, hey, I'm Tony Thompson. I've got an idea. And if you feel the same way, meet me in Atlanta, Georgia at this event called NAMBA Connect. And we're going to launch a movement. We're going to launch an evolution. And 5 years later, we're excited to announce that September the 16th through the 19th in Atlanta, Georgia, we will be hosting in live our 5th anniversary for real estate professionals, for loan originators, and for operations professionals across the country to come to NAMBA Connect and connect with people from across the country who are passionate about growing, as well as passionate about making a difference in their communities across the country. And so we're really excited because, being a 5-year-old organization is like going from, kindergarten to, graduating. And we really have a lot of great things in store. Secondly, one of the most important things that we are focused on, which is again, part of our mission, is in the fall of this year, we were due to launch last semester, but as we start the fall semester in schools this year, NAMBA will actually be placing chapters on college campuses to start our initiative of connecting 50,000 students to careers in our industry by 2025. So by 2025, we want to have chapters across the country in every community, every public, every private, and a large portion of community colleges in every neighborhood across the country, providing financial literacy and helping students to understand the opportunities of home ownership. And then most importantly, Eric, helping them to understand the numerous careers that they could have in our industry and how they could make a difference in their own community by helping to make the dream of home ownership a reality.
Tony, first, congratulations, 5 years. And I know it's been a great deal of work getting to this point. And is there any reason why it's going to be in Atlanta, California?
Atlanta has a rich history when you go back to just a lot of things from a multicultural perspective. Certainly at the end of the day, in Georgia, Atlanta has just a great vibe. And so we want to show some Southern hospitality, as I say, Eric, to folks across the country. And so, Atlanta was where we were born. And so currently this year, we're excited to host Atlanta. And I will say kind of facetiously, the standards as it relates to, being able to have events are maybe a little bit better for us in Atlanta as well. And so, I am joking. We're going to be very cautious with, safety first, but really at the end of the day, Atlanta has a huge history in American history, particularly when you look at the growth of African Americans and the impact that African Americans have made. The city of Atlanta has been right there at the forefront.
Well, they call it, what is it? Hot
Atlanta.
Hot Atlanta. That's right. Hot Atlanta. It is hot. And, I have only been there once and it was passing through. I'm looking forward to attending the conference and celebrating 5 years of just great work. And now, the vision that you've set forth is really amazing. To put 50,000 students into mortgage banking related careers, that's significant. That's a huge number. And you're going to start by putting these chapters in universities. So are you going to start with historically Black colleges? Or are you going to work with all colleges, that anyone that will want to host a chapter?
So currently we've identified a pilot city, which is the city of Houston, which is a very diverse market that we will be launching our beta pilot come this fall. And so within that pilot, we currently have 5 colleges and universities. We have one private institution, Rice University. We have the University of Houston. And then we have 2 historically Black colleges and universities, and one primarily Latino university in a community college system. All will be participating on allowing us to place chapters. And we think that Houston is a great market from a diversity standpoint. There's a lot of opportunities to really intersect. It has a large employment system from a mortgage banking side. So we'll be able to get students into interns and co-ops, et cetera. And then most importantly, the student base in the city of Houston is just such a diverse city as well. And so once we go through the pilot in Houston, we will then roll it out into college campuses across the country. Yes, a big focus on HBCUs, but we're going to the Ohio State. We're going to the University of Southern California. We're going to UCLA. We're going to the University of Texas. In every state, in every city, major city, we're hoping to have a chapter for NAMBA for students to connect and engage with.
Now, Tony, in these chapters, will the students be able to get their certification, become certified mortgage bankers?
So they won't be able to receive the certified mortgage bankers designation. However, we are working on a special designation for these students who take a certain amount of hours learning about careers in the industry, so that when they graduate, they will receive a certification that will be recognized through our industry from NAMBA that says this student knows the mortgage industry and is essentially looking for a career and ready to work on day one. They know how to spell mortgage or real estate in our industry on day one.
Well, that's really exciting. Now, does the organization, the national organization, provide their own unique certification for mortgage bankers, or is it all falling under the Mortgage Bankers Association?
So certainly we partner with the MBA, the Mortgage Bankers Association, in helping to continue to increase the awareness as well as the participation of their certification programs. However, I am excited, Eric, to announce that later on this year, we will be announcing a couple of unique certifications for mortgage professionals that will be focused on highlighting their skills and their expertise in the multicultural, affordable lending area. And so that's really exciting that we will be announcing that later on this year at our conference.
Well, sign me up for that. I mean, for me, given my tenure in the industry, it would be kind of an official validation of what I know. And I think that's going to be the case for many African Americans that work in that space already. But I think it's about time that there is some type of certification documentation, right? That's why we get degrees, right, in business and what have you, to kind of validate our education and our experience.
Well, and just think about being able to also relay that through the consumer experience, where these individuals who have that certification, the consumer will also know and feel that they are someone that they can trust. They are a fiduciary acting on their behalf of their best interest, and that they have a commitment to the community, to the client, as well as to the industry that we serve, to ultimately make sure that we create a great experience for the consumer and help more consumers get and acquire home ownership.
Tony, I'm really excited about what you're doing. Wow, I mean, 50,000 by 2025 students in college campuses across the country, and then celebrating 5 years of existence, all, beginning from an idea that you had to increase diversity in the arena. And it is kind of surprising after 110 years or so that the organization itself, NBA itself, did not do something about diversity and creating the opportunities for minorities, especially given the data, which we've been talking about for well over 10 years, that minorities and people of color would be the primary home seekers and buyers in the United States. And this was 10 years ago we were talking about this, and now it's here now.
Absolutely. And our goal is to make sure for us at NAMBLA, this is not a flavor of the month. We hope that this is not for many companies in our industry, but irrespective, NAMBLA has put a flag in the ground that for the next 110 years, and it's kind of funny, Eric, I was talking to someone earlier a few months ago, and I said, we're currently working on NAMBLA's 100-year vision because we have a goal over the next 100 years to impact the mortgage and financial services industry and ultimately help companies understand how to leverage diversity as a competitive advantage. And as I say, do good by doing good.
Tony, how many chapters do you currently have in the United States?
NAMBLA currently has 30 chapters from Boston over to California. I'm excited to announce that we just recently virtually did a launch for the state of Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. And coming up next month in May, we will actually be doing a virtual launch for Denver, the Inland Empire, which I think is right in your backyard there, Eric, as well as Memphis, Tennessee, and the Hampton Roads, Norfolk, Virginia Beach area, all coming up in May next month.
Now, do you have any other chapters in California? Because for those who are watching out of state, the Inland Empire is like Riverside. That's the largest county actually in the state.
Wow.
So do you have any other chapters in the state, or would this be the state chapter?
No, absolutely. And so if they go to NAMBLA.org, NAMMBA.org, they will see and can find a list of our chapters. But California is an important market for us. We currently have a chapter in Northern California, AKA San Francisco. We're looking to open up one in the Oakland area as well. And then we're coming over to Sacramento, but currently we have one in LA. Orange County and San Diego are all up and running. And again, Riverside, we're really excited about Riverside coming on board next month in May.
For those of you just joining us, we're talking to Tony Thompson. He is the founder and CEO of the National Association of Minority Mortgage Bankers. And folks, I'm really honored, Tony, to talk with you. You're a visionary, you're a leader in our community, and I can't wait to get into the 1968 Fair Housing Act with you. And folks, we're gonna do that in just a few minutes. You're listening to The Power Is Now. You're watching The Power Is Now TV. Thank you for watching. We'll be right back with more with Tony Thompson right after this.
Many Californians fear that they will not be able to pay their rent next month. Financial education and literacy are the catalyst for relief. So what resources are out there? A State of California program connects you with a HUD-certified housing counselor who can assist you on your financial education journey with no cost to you. Call today at 1-800-569-4287. Again, that is 1-800-569-4287.
And we're back. For those of you just joining us, welcome to Is Now Fair Housing Series. I'm speaking with Tony Thompson, CEO and founder of the National Association of Minority Mortgage Bankers. And Tony, again, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. And so far, man, I am just blown away by the great work that you're doing. And you've been at it now for 5 years, going to celebrate it in Georgia. And I'm looking forward to attending that event. Now, Tony, as you know, this is April, and April is Fair Housing Month, celebration of the passage of the 1968 Fair Housing Act. And as you also know and understand, that it is a game changer for people of color, particularly African Americans, who were almost targeted by the government at one point and denying us access to credit and to housing. And so, do you think that, well, first of all, what is your organization doing to uphold the law and to help, discrimination from preventing people of color to accessing housing?
So first of all, within NAMBA, we are purely a professional development education organization. We don't get engaged in what I call advocacy or political actions. We leave that to both the NBA, to NAR, and to the large trade groups. But where we believe we make an impact and where we focus on making an impact, it is in a couple of areas. First is through education. We believe by having a more educated, more professional industry professional, whether they're on the real estate side or as a lender, that first and foremost, it makes the consumer experience better. And we're helping them make sure that we do the right thing by taking care of this consumer, because that lender and or that real estate agent is really upholding a certain creed that they have subscribed to that really is part of NAMBA's core value, which is at the end of the day to help create sustainable home ownership. So to certainly help celebrate and recognize April's Fair Housing Month, we've held a number of webinars at NAMBA this past month. One recently that we just did was one with our partners Rigora, as well as a guest speaker where we were talking about disparities in regards to appraisal bias, whether it intentional or unintentional, and how it is important to have diversity within the appraisal side of the business, so that we can make sure, as you've seen or may have heard, there were cases where homeowners who are African American or of color, they receive appraisals significantly less than those who are non-African American or minorities. And so for us, we want to bring these issues to the forefront, but we want to also talk about ways and solutions and how we can address the issues and how we can help companies. So our goal at NAMBA is to help companies understand the impact that they have in their processes, their programs, their products, how it can have unintentional consequences to communities of color impacting home ownership.
Disparate impact is, a legal term that I believe a lot of banks and just don't understand. Mortgage banks and mortgage companies, and there are processes, there are rules, there are scoring and underwriting that is having a disparate impact on people of color. And now we're seeing it in and even appraisals, and that how is it that a significant number of Black homeowners are getting lower appraisals than white homeowners? And so outside of the, what recommendations do you have that could, improve this situation? Is it really just education?
Well, it's a couple of different areas that I think as an industry, in my opinion, Eric, that we have to tackle. First, it is part education, because again, you don't know what you don't know from a lender, from an appraiser standpoint. But part of not knowing what you don't know is because sometimes that particular company, organization may not have the right appropriate mix of diversity in their organization to help provide a different perspective and a different viewpoint to help the organization become better. And what I mean by that is really simple. We know that first we need in the mortgage industry more people of color in our industry. I will certainly venture to say that from an appraisal standpoint, and this is just a gut, we're going to figure out how to work with our friends over at Alta and maybe figure out how to do a diversity study there. But I would say that probably in the appraisal industry, there are 5x more opportunity for them to have more diverse appraisers of color than, certainly in the mortgage industry as well. So if we can use our Mission 2025 program to connect those 50,000 students and drive them into appraisal careers, then through communities across the country, now you're getting people who grow up in the community, live in the community. They don't have to drive across town. They don't have to drive an hour or an hour and a half in some instances to go conduct an appraisal in a neighborhood that they know very little not about. We have people who live in that community being able to understand the essence of the community and giving it a fair value based on their training and education. That's just one way we can make a difference.
So Tony, just to kind of summarize, it is education, and I totally agree with you, but it's also a commitment to diversity. And that hasn't happened in 100 years. And so getting to move that needle is really the next challenge, because it leads me to the next question. As you know, the rate of homeownership for African Americans particularly is the lowest of all ethnic groups. Then Latinos, then Asians, and then white Americans have the highest rate of homeownership. And as a result of that too, they have the highest net worth and wealth than any other group. The African Americans are on the far end of that. We have the lowest net worth and wealth accumulation. And as a result of historically a longstanding discrimination that began from the beginning of the Emancipation Proclamation. So that being said, do you think that it's diversity as well that is the answer to banks extending credit and just having maybe a greater empathy and cultural intelligence about homeownership and Black homeownership and Black first-time home buyers and et cetera, to increasing the rate of homeownership? What are your thoughts on solutions?
Eric, first and foremost, I believe that there are millions of people of color from all ethnicities and all backgrounds who want one simple thing: to have their child or daughter be raised and grow up in a neighborhood, in a home that they can call their own and that they can leave down as an asset to the next generation. And so as an industry, we have an opportunity to help that become more of reality by embracing, first of all, diversity, but really understanding what diversity can do in terms of how to use diversity to increase home ownership in these communities of color. And what I mean by that is, first and foremost, understanding that every client is different and their journey is unique. Therefore, we have to be very careful with AI and a lot of the automated underwriting we're doing to make sure that we don't unintentionally impact the very segment that we're trying to help. Secondly, I'm really excited to say that we have a number of great partners at NAMBA and a number of CEOs that I speak to on a daily basis who are just not giving words and lip service about really committed to making a difference in the communities of color. But they truly understand that when we make every community better, we make our cities better, we make our country better, and most importantly, we make their companies stronger because we're helping to build an inclusive workforce that can contribute to the new normal, which is a multicultural society. And so that's the wake-up call, that if you are a CEO and you do not understand the new normal that is about to happen and transition into the marketplace, which are women, millennials, and communities of color, then you are doing your company and yourself a disservice, because that will be a significant market in the future. We just have to help companies understand that marketplace, and that's what we're here to do at NAMBA.
Tony, I totally agree with you. And you mentioned AI. And with that, is the coding involved in FICO scoring and algorithms, and all of these things have, since their inception, has had a disparate impact on people of color. It is the new form of discrimination. I really believe that, and it needs to change if we're going to have real impact on extending credit to people of color. There's a great book called Weapons of Math, and that's M-A-H-M-A-T-H, Weapons of Math, Destruction by Kathy O'Neill. And she talks about the bias that's involved in coding. And it just makes so much sense when you think about a coder writing code or algorithms. Are they not coming from their own unique experiences, whether it be white or Black or any ethnicity? And if they're coming from a position of wealth or of prestige or education, and they just have a different experience altogether than, an African American who is in their, fifth generation renters, and just not having access to all the wonderful things that a person who even perhaps has had the opportunity to learn coding and to write algorithms and to just be in that world, you can see how there would be a huge gap in terms of reality. And then a huge gap in terms of assessing what is risk. What is risk? Who defines ultimately risk? And how do we operate? How do we make loans? Prior to 1980, when FICO scoring was just an idea. How is it that this privately held company is now dictating policy to the federal government, to employers in regard to hiring and extending credit by banks? How is this private company able to have so much control? We broke up Microsoft because every household had an operating system, right? They controlled every computer. And yet we stand by idly just watching FICO run the world. And I'm gonna get off my soapbox and let you have a few words.
Well, I think again, as we as an industry look to continue to increase efficiencies and certainly operational costs, I'm a big supporter, being a mortgage banker for life, of making sure that we can help reduce the cost. Because I believe if we can reduce the cost of originating a mortgage, then hopefully that cost is going to get passed through and end up to savings at the consumer, who again can use that money to help save, furnish their home, and or prepare for a rainy day fund. However, at the same time, we have to stop and realize that the world of AI is rapidly changing and has rapidly changed over the last 3 to 5 years. And as we move into looking at making more decisions around algorithms and automation, it will be important for companies to take a step back first and to make sure that they go and peel back the onion, as I say, and make sure that the algorithms and the protocols that they have put in place do not adversely, first and foremost, do no harm to any potential home buyer in America, potential home buyer. And then secondly, that it doesn't unintentionally, disparately separate or reduces the opportunity or potential opportunity for a person of color to own a home.
I totally agree with you. And I think, though, that ultimately the proof is in data collection. Because, the coder is always going to defend their code. The algorithm is going to be defended by the originators of it. The systems and the decision-making processes are going to always be defended by the owners. And so ultimately, we have to ignore that and look at the data. Look at the data, because it's in the data that we can see patterns of discrimination and disparate impact by whatever the code or algorithm or AI or the decision processes are making. And right now, there's legislation, there's proposals right now to try to weaken data collection from HMDA data through the CRA Act and through other means of being able to monitor what banks and lenders are doing. There is influences, unfortunately, they're trying to minimize that and or make it less effective, and to take any teeth that existed out of CRA in terms of enforcement away from legislators and from those who want to see banks actually start lending in the communities at which they have branches and the communities that they claim to serve, and serve everyone from low to moderate income buyers to minorities, as opposed to just those with money. And so I'm hoping that through legislation, government intervention, and through activism, we'll see the kinds of change that needs to take place. But I know you made it clear that your organization is not really political. You're really focused on education and looking at ways to increase diversity and opportunity. And we need that too. But we also need activists and people, on the front lines fighting for the little guy, if you will, who is being impacted. And we only know that right now through the data because we don't have access really to the code.
Well, Eric, one of the great things that I love about our industry and I love about our country is that one person can make a difference. And that's a true testament to what we did here at NAMBA. We just started a movement. We took the first step. And so our goal also at NAMBA is to make sure that we bring and help create that next generation of leaders who can also move our organization and most importantly, move our industry forward to make those steps as well.
I agree. One person can make a difference. And, our goal here at The Power Is Now is to make a difference by bringing attention to organizations like yours, to issues like discrimination, to laws that are being celebrated right now, like the 1968 Fair Housing Act, and to anyone trying to make a difference in the area of housing so that all people, regardless of race, color, disability, sexual orientation, gender, be able to achieve the dream of homeownership. I want to thank you, Tony, for your time today and give you the last word to share your final thoughts on the importance of the 1968 Fair Housing Act and the goal of homeownership that should be the goal of every American to achieve.
Well, first of all, thank you again for having me on the show, and congratulations to such a long tenure of really giving back to the community and to our industry. So I want to first applaud you for your labor in terms of being an impact to our industry as well. Secondly, Eric, again, for us at NAMBA, our mission and our goal is really simple. We believe that if we can help increase the training, education, and professional development of women and minorities across this industry, that we can help increase home ownership as well as help to increase sustainable home ownership in communities of color while giving back, while making a difference, and while impacting our future generations. And so, my future last comment for today is really around, from a fair housing standpoint, the most important way for us to continue to ensure that the future is fair to anyone who wants to own a home is first and foremost to make sure that we educate those who are coming up, who are young, about home ownership, about the importance of all the parameters of what it takes. Because again, that education piece is very critical to ensuring that they have the opportunity to be able to use home ownership as one of the vehicles to gain and grow their net worth. And if we can start there, then we will also make additional impacts along the way over this next decade that can get more people of color into homes.
Tony Thompson, CEO and founder of NAMBA. Thank you so much, Tony, for taking the time and to just share with us what you're doing, what the great work that your organization is doing and the leadership that you're providing. Well, folks, that's a wrap here on The Power Is Now. Another great fair housing series show. I hope you will share it. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. Share this podcast for those of you who are listening to our podcast. Many people need to know about the National Association of Minority Mortgage Bankers and the great work that they're doing. Tony, one other thing before I let you go is, how does one become a member? I can't let you go without talking about that.
It's really easy. Membership for NAMBA is only $35 a year. That goes to show that our focus is more on training and education. So to learn more about NAMBA and to join, the movement, they can simply go to NAMBA.org. That's NAMMBA.org.
Go join NAMBA today, folks. Become a part of this incredible movement towards education and diversity. You're listening to The Power Is Now Fair Housing Series. Thank you for watching. Remember, we are at our best and we maximize our success when we act now. The power is now.
The Power Is Now Media is worldwide with growing audience of future homebuyers, investors, builders, developers, real estate agents, and brokers. The Power Is Now Media is well positioned to increase awareness and produce results for our growing roster of advertising partners. An advertisement on any of our platforms is the right step toward reaching and communicating key brand messages to a targeted network of individuals, families, and communities interested in housing. Our content areas include feature stories and profiles on successful real estate agents, business owners, government, and community leaders. The Power Is Now magazines are the leading resource for real estate agents, mortgage bankers, entrepreneurs, and small homeownership businesses, providing leaders with business strategy information, resources, and tools through PIN, real estate, and programming guide magazines. Stay up to the minute with real estate and mortgage news and information from industry experts. VIP agents are able to feature listings each week. The Power Is Now TV radio podcast features weekly shows that include Homebuyers Town Hall, Real Estate Roundtable, VIP Agent Spotlight, and so much more. Each week, VIP agents have opportunities to be featured guests on the shows. VIP agents can discuss and showcase houses, neighborhoods, and provide brief introduction. The interviews are unlimited 10 to 15 minutes on each current listing. This product alone separates you from your competition. The Power Is Now delivers to you market update interview to promote listing weekly, promotional biographical video, co-host a bi-monthly Homebuyers Town Hall show, featured subject matter expert on Real Estate Roundtable show, The Power Is Now program guide e-magazine, The Power Is Now national e-magazine, article writing and blogging, social media content customization, inclusion and press releases, graphic design services, business and performance coaching, technology support, referrals, lead generation opportunities, and management support.